Good morning, traders. It's Monday, December 16th. Taking a look at the charts, we got the SP 500. You can see here we've got another pop in the markets today. We got that upward breakout to new highs. This is what we were talking about last week, that if the market was to break out to new highs, it should spark a rally going into the holiday or the year end here, and we could see a pretty good gain going forward. Now, overall equities markets are up pretty strong. SP 500 up 0.5%, Nasdaq up 0.6%, Russell 2000 up 0.7%. So we're really seeing some big expansion to the upside. On the flip side of that, we've got bonds down 0.4%. They continue to flag out here, and if you look at the price action of bonds, we had this huge run up, and now it's in this big multi-month consolidation phase. Last week it came down and tagged the 200-day moving average, this red line here, and had a very strong bounce, but overall money continues to fade out. And while we're really bullish on equities, on bonds and gold naturally here, we've got this big formation here, very bullish formation, but this can drag out for quite some time. It could continue to fade lower, or it could just start to flatline for a long time until the equities market shows signs of weakness and investors start to roll from equities into the safe haven. So looking at this chart of bonds, it's very similar to the chart of gold. Both have had a big rally. They're in a multi-month consolidation, and more or less money is just kind of waiting for the next big rally to the upside. So I think we're going to see that come January, but overall the market is still consolidating and money is flowing into the risk off. Now we are seeing some early signs that the small cap stocks, the gold miners here, are starting to move higher. We've gone from making lower lows and to now we're making higher lows, and we're starting to make higher highs as well. We got a high, we got a higher high, a higher high. Last week we put in another higher high. So we're getting into this rounding formation. The upward momentum is starting to pick up speed. We're above the key moving averages, the 200, the 50, the 20, the 5-day. So it's holding up fairly well here. Again, we're not seeing silver and gold, the metals, follow suit quite as much yet, but overall the small caps are lining up for a launch pad here, and the momentum is shifting to the upside. Now, if we take a look over at, let's pull up the energy sector real quick here. Here is natural gas. Just look at the chart here. We're waiting for this bottom to continue to form. We're up about 1% this morning. Overall, we're looking for this type of bottoming formation. Maybe it's going to flag out here, build some type of a base. You could argue it's going to start to break through these trend lines other than a couple day pop through here. If it starts to trade sideways and build a base, this could be the launch pad for another big run to the upside going forward. 260 will probably be a fairly significant resistance area. It's through this high. It's through a significant area right here. Here, we had a bunch of days trade through it as well. So this would be the first level of really significant resistance, but we do have an upside potential of 3+ going forward. But again, we need this bottom to continue to work itself out here and build a base, something like this, where we get a launch pad, we get some type of formation, and we get a neckline, just like we've seen over here with these previous formations going forward. Looking over at crude, up 0.1%, continues to grind higher and push this upper limit. If we look at more or less this upper channel here, we are just constantly grinding and pushing higher. We're at this 59.60 area, which is going to be a fairly significant resistance zone. We do have a much longer term resistance area up here around that 62, but overall it's walking up this upper resistance area. It's pretty lofty off these lows here. That we could see a big pullback at any point. Again, this is going to be a significant line in the sand around this 55 area that if it breaks down, could be the early warning sign of a test of 51 and then much lower. But at this point, it is still channeling to the upside. And if we connect these lows here, you can see how price is kind of working its way up this channel. I'm not looking to get long crude. To me, it feels like it's going to have a big downburst at any point here. And the upside I feel is very limited. It's at the 60 resistance area. It's got more resistance up at 62, and it's at this upper trend line as well. So not too interested in trading oil at this point. But if we start to see some type of reversal candle, maybe a huge rally, a blow off top, and then a reversal back down, it could be the signal for some type of a much larger wave back down to the lower end of the channel, just like we saw over here, where you get some type of big reversal, a little bit of a pause and bounce, and then a continuation move going forward. Now, if we take a look over at the US and we look at this long term, this is the weekly chart going way back to 2010. Overall, we are in the upper end of this range. If we were to more or less draw a line, connect these tops here, you can see the dollar is testing this upper level. It's pretty lofty. You can see each time we stretch up to these extremes, we've seen a pretty significant correction in the market, in the dollar, and this could be the early warning sign, or we could be getting into a topping formation here. Overall, the dollar has been the safe haven asset class for quite some time, for a couple of years, and it might be finally getting to the point here where it's topping out, and we might just start to see this decline. Of course, if the US dollar starts to tumble and come back down, we are going to see the precious metals and commodities really start to perform exceptionally well. Typically, we'll see commodities outperform equities near the end of a bull market. So I do feel as though we're getting close to that end of an equities bull market. And if the dollar starts to top here, we could definitely see the metals really pick up speed to the upside. But until that happens, we got to just continue to wait and watch. And overall, we all know the metals are set up and they're primed and ready to move higher, but they haven't quite reversed and started to break out just yet. So we're keeping our eyes peeled for a setup in the metal sector. Right now, we are long equities, letting the market in the holiday season kind of just do its thing and grind higher. In this kind of overbought and kind of euphoric kind of stage in equities where there's really no fear in the market and money just keeps piling in. It's hard to fight the trend, so we're sticking with it and continuing to be long equities at this point. Anyways, that's it for this morning. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.